What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Inside Man United. My name is Rowan Brennan. A little bit late getting this video out. It is the Manchester derby, but didn't get time to do it until now. And would you believe that I just did record this video and my microphone was on mute the entire time? So this is my second attempt at doing this video. So Saturday morning blues, such is the way. Big game coming up. Manchester United hosting Manchester City at Old Trafford this weekend. Let's just get into it. So both teams coming into this match in a strange kind of type of form. United winning 2 out of their last 3 Premier League games, having lost to Palace. United did pick up last gasp wins against Brentford and Sheffield United, but very unconvincing wins. So while United are coming into this game off the back of 2 wins, they were against minnows and we were shite. To be quite honest, I don't think anyone is convinced. Ten Hag recently coming out with an interview saying we're top of the league for winning balls back. We're top of the league in winning balls back in midfield. We're just not taking advantage of the possession that we're regaining and carving out chances, and that is true. We saw against Sheffield United and Copenhagen and other teams, we are actually creating chances, especially against Copenhagen. We just aren't taking them. Now, my big worry about that is that we're not really breaking teams down that have a low block or want to defend and invite pressure on. That's why we've done well against some other teams, especially like Burnley. Even though we didn't win by a huge margin, we invited Burnley on. And Burnley, Vincent Kompany wants to play expansive, good football. And we allowed Burnley to come on to us. We invited that pressure and we took advantage of it. If a team wants to sit back and defend, we struggle. And we've been like that for the best part of 7 or 8 years. 9 years, actually since Fergie left, for 10 years. Low blocks, we can't break them down. Van Gaal, we couldn't. Our scoring under Van Gaal was almost non-existent. 49 goals in an entire league campaign is pathetic. Mourinho couldn't do it. Rangnick, forget about it. Ollie was the same. We were good under Ollie as long as we were a counter-attacking team. And teams were attacking us because they thought they could get something from United. Because we were kind of toothless up front and teams thought, listen, we can have a go with these guys. And for a time we were able to take advantage of that, and we were a very strong and good counter-attacking team. And there's nothing wrong with being a counter-attacking team. Liverpool under Klopp in their pomp, when they were one of the best clubs in the world, we're a counter-attacking team. That's what they did. Attack us if you dare, and we'll rip you apart. And they did it very, very effectively. But they were also able to break teams down should they need to. United did look good on the counter against Copenhagen. The later the game went on and Copenhagen were chasing the game, we were exploiting a huge amount of space. I mean, you can visualize and remember the amount of times we had Garnacho running onto a ball, Rashford running onto a ball, Højlund, McTominay. We were getting the ball and carrying it up the pitch quite fast, and we fucked up a lot of our opportunities through a whole host of different reasons. Bad touches, bad passes, bad decision-making, poor shots, poor execution. It's been the story of our season, and it's not just one player doing it. It's all our players seem to have absolutely no confidence in front of goal at the moment, which is a real worry. We've had to rely on our defenders all season and kind of fringe players, midfielders, McTominay, Dalot, Lindelof, Varane and Wan-Bissaka to bail us out of games, which is kind of shocking, to be honest. So United not coming into this in a good vein of form, despite results maybe saying otherwise. City, on the other hand, they did get a good win against Brighton in their last game, 2-1, a great game if anyone was watching it. But they lost their previous 2 to that. They lost 1-0 to Arsenal and 2-1 to Wolves. So they're coming into this game off the back of 2 losses in 3. So they are a bit of a wounded animal. They can be beaten. If Wolves can beat them, we can beat them. But they have picked up their confidence. They have played against Brighton and won quite well. It was a good game. But any win against Brighton is a good win. De Zerbi's team are very, very good. So we come into this game in kind of strange veins of form. But with regards to the lineup and injury news, it looks like Casemiro is back. Reguilon, I think, was protected in the Copenhagen game. Lindelof coming in for him for the last half an hour, I think, just to protect him, to make sure he was available and ready for this game. But listen, let's get into the lineup and what I think this is going to look like. So in goal, we've got Andre Onana. His heroics against Copenhagen during the week were fantastic. A really good moment. We shouldn't need to be celebrating games against Copenhagen at home like that. The game should have been 3-4-0. It should have been out of sight. That penalty shouldn't have mattered a shit. But it did matter, and he saved it. And I've said this in other videos. That is the type of penalty De Gea doesn't save. And that's the difference, and that's why we got rid of De Gea. For all his heroics and his great service, and I liked De Gea for a long time. I was in bits when I heard he was going to be going to Real Madrid all those years ago. I was despondent. He was the only world-class player at the time I thought United had. I thought if he left, the whole thing was going to crumble. But we kept him, and his form is up and down. I have a lot of love for De Gea, but De Gea showed in the last few years when it came to the crunch, whether it's Europa League finals, FA Cup finals, Europa League quarter semi-finals, he was shitting the bed, letting the ball slip through his fingers, coming out and just making a balls of things, doing exactly and worse things that Onana has been doing since he's come in. So we need to kind of forget the De Gea love in. De Gea would have not saved that penalty last night. I'm telling you now, there wasn't 100 penos in 100. De Gea was not saving that penalty. And that's why we have Onana. Because Onana can save those kind of penalties. And I'm delighted for him. So Onana in goal. Reguilon coming in on the left-hand side. I'm hoping that he just remembers his defensive duties and doesn't create too much space behind us, because that's exactly the type of stuff that that City are going to exploit. And that's what Haaland likes. He likes space. He likes to be able to run onto the ball and get onto the keeper 1v1 or 1v2 if there's another centre-half there. That's what he likes. And I want Reguilon to just make sure he doesn't bomb forward too much and leave that space. But he is an attacking threat. He's a more attack-minded player than defensive. So we'll see how he does. Dalot out in the right. He's had a bit of a mixed bag this season. Very good going forward. Has rescued us with some great goals. Defensively, I still think he's suspect, but he has been doing quite well. He's played left. He's played right. He's been available. But our defence has been reasonably poor this season, and he's been a big part of that. But I'm hoping that he carries his recent good form into this game. Centre half, I want Harry Maguire. I don't want our defensive line playing too high up the pitch. I know we're at home. We should play with a little bit of confidence, but City are a far better team than us. We've been unconvincing against the shittest teams in the league. I don't expect us to be trying to play football against City and trying to play our way. This is a game that we just cannot lose heavily in. We got spanked last season by City and Liverpool. There cannot be a repeat of this, particularly given what's been going on at our club recently. If we leave this game with a 4 or 5-0 drubbing, there is going to be a huge amount of pressure on Ten Hag and these players. And that is, to me, the most important thing. If this sounds bad, I would take a 1-0 loss, if I'm being honest. If we can take a 1-0 loss with our heads held high and we don't get bent over, I'd actually take that. Not a very exciting thing to say. There'll be people maybe screaming at their screen, that's appalling, you can't say that, Manchester derby at home. You need to be a realist here. We're playing shite, we're shocking, we can't even play well against the shittest teams in the league. City are coming into this as treble winners, the champions. They've come off a good win against Brighton. Most of their heavy hitters are going to be playing. They're not racked with injuries like we are. And you just need to be real about this. So Dalot on the right, Harry Maguire. I want him to see him playing deep. I think we're going to need him for set pieces to protect against aerial threats like Haaland. I think that's one of his strengths. So I just want to see Harry Maguire trying to bully Haaland all game and making sure that we're protected from those set pieces, and he can get that big fat head underneath that ball and protect Onana from any of those type of set plays. Varane obviously has to come in, nice ball playing centre half if we do need to take it out from the back. Varane is going to be the one that has to do that. In midfield, Amrabat and Casemiro. I want to see Casemiro back for this game. He's a big game player. That's why we spent 60 million on him, despite his poor form recently. I think that's because he's been left exposed. I think that's as much down to Ten Hag's tactics and being left isolated by Bruno and Mount in the games where he was kind of most exposed and looked at his weakest. I think with Amrabat beside him, it does afford Casemiro some opportunities to get forward. Amrabat can play very well as a number 6, as can Casemiro. I think we need that defensive mindset, and I want to see Casemiro and Amrabat anchoring that midfield with Mabry maybe coming in for the second half or the last half an hour if we need some fresh legs, if Casemiro's looking a little bit leggy. I would like to see Casemiro absolutely run his ass into the ground for 60 minutes and then take him off when he gets leggy and maybe replace him with Mabry. A little bit of tenacity. Mabry covers a huge amount of ground. So does Amrabat. So I think we need an industrious midfield today. Of course, our captain Bruno has to play, so he's in the number 10 position. Now, what I think Ten Hag is going to do is the very boring Rashford left, Anthony right, Højlund up top. I hope he doesn't do that, but I think that's pretty much what he's going to do. Anthony, he's going to want his tenacity and work rate, his ability to stick to the Ten Hag style of play if he has a style of play at the moment. But I think he's going to want a worker bombing up and down the wing and working to try and get the ball back and win the ball back. I think that's what he thinks Anthony is going to do. I would personally have Rashford on the right and Mount on the left. Mount likes to play on the left. It's where he played for Chelsea, and he can come into the middle if he needs to. He is ambidextrous. He can play with both feet, so if he needs to come in and take a shot, he can also do that. I want to see Rashford and Mount hugging those bylines to stretch City's defence, to give Bruno, Amrabat, Casemiro and Højlund opportunities to play balls through the middle. If he's going to do Antony cutting in from the right and Rashford cutting in from the left, it's going to compress City's defence and we're going to get the ball choked out of it. I want to see Rashford and Mount hugging the byline and swinging balls in. Also, if they cut in, it's going to require the fullback to overlap to allow the wingers to cut in and get their shots off, because we need a fullback occupying another City defender to afford those attacking wide players space to come in and get those shots off. If we do that, we're going to leave space at the back and we're going to compress City's defence in the middle. I don't want to see Dalot and Reguilon getting up and overlapping too much. If anything, I want to see the fullbacks cutting in just to provide an option and to drag a man away to allow our wide players to get those balls in or to maybe dribble in from those wide areas. I don't want to see inverted wingers in this game. I think that plays directly into City's strengths, and I think we're going to get fucked if we do that. So I want to see Reguilon and Dalot not pushing into the top sections of City's final third. I want to see them just coming over the halfway line, cutting in if needs be. Mount on the left, Rashford on the right, and sending crosses in and trying to stretch out City's defence to allow Amrabat, Casemiro and Højlund, Bruno to exploit those spaces in the middle. That's what I hope. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Ten Hag is going to persist with Antony on the right and Rashford on the left. It'll break my heart if I see that, but I'm hoping to see Mason Mount on the left. I would like to see Mason Mount play there. Rashford on the right, swinging in balls, not cutting in and trying to take his shots, because he's been shite at that. At the moment, his shots have been blocked. They haven't been on target. He hasn't been using his opportunities the same way he did last season, and he's kind of reverted back to type that he was the 2 seasons previous. Rashford's best moments this season has when he's come in from the right, when he's pinged in crosses for Højlund's header, when he's laid off the ball for Højlund. It's always been from the right. So I want to see Rashford out right and Mount out left. I hope that is what happens, but I think it's going to be the predictable way that we've seen this team line up so far this season, but fingers crossed. In terms of the score, I think it's going to be 2-0 City. Just because I don't think we're taking any sort of decent form into this game. City are City. They're a winning machine and they always do well in the Manchester derby, whether it's home or away. If I was a gambling man, I would think it's going to be City by more than a goal are going to win this game. I hope not. I think United can scrape a 0-0 or a 1-1. I don't think we're going to win this game. God, I hope we do. But I do think it's going to be a City win, and it's going to be a City win by more than one goal. Such is the form that we're bringing into this game. See, if this was Ollie, I mean, years ago, I backed Rashford to score first and United to win 2-1 when we were playing shite and coming up against City, because we were a counter-attacking team. City were going to try and put it on us, and I knew we were going to be able to exploit that space. We just needed Rashford to play well. He did, and I won a lot of money that day. But I don't think... I think United might have a counter-attacking ethos in this game, but it's what we did against Copenhagen. Our best chance against Copenhagen is when Copenhagen pushed up the pitch and were chasing that goal, and we were able to exploit space behind them. So maybe we will get a couple of breakaways and get City on the break. That's the only way I see us breaking them down, is inviting pressure onto us, having a low block, having a low line. If we try and play a high line and press, I think we're in trouble. And I think Ten Hag might try and do that. I hope he doesn't. He seems to be a pragmatic man, but we'll see how it goes. So, gambling man, City to win by more than a goal. As a fan, I'm going with 1-1. So, say what you like about that kind of prediction, but that's what it is. What do you think? How do you think the team should line up? Would you change the midfield? Would you drop Casemiro? Would you drop Rashford? Would you have Antony in the team? Would you start Garnacho? Please leave your thoughts in the comment. What do you think the scores are going to be? Thank you very much once again for tuning in. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Enjoy the match tomorrow. Manchester United against Manchester City at Old Trafford. Enjoy the game, and I'll see you on the next one.